This presentation was just going to be an overview of what's to come in the following Unreal Script series. So this series is just going to be about teaching you the basics of the Unreal Script API. Throughout this I'm going to be teaching you some skills that I feel are quite useful when you're using Unreal Script, and I also want to give you an understanding of the API and basically a way to get into the API and know the details of it. Now, just a forewarning, this series is intended for people with a decent level of programming experience. This should give you a quick overview of everything you need to get started in UDK. However, I would expect that you, say, have a good knowledge of another programming language such as C++, Java, or C#. If you don't have the knowledge for this, you might find yourself a bit lost when I get into the later things in this tutorial. So throughout this series I'll be covering a variety of topics. Now, each of these topics are both important and useful when programming in Unreal Script. So the first piece of this tutorial series is just going to be a quick overview of the UDK class hierarchy. So I'm just going to be briefly outlining all the core classes in the Unreal API, and some of these classes will be elaborated in more detail as I get towards the end of the series. I'll also be doing a multi-part tutorial series on actors and objects, and just exploring how they work in Unreal Script and the general model that they run on. So this includes the conceptual differences between the two, how to use them in code, and also an outline of important functions for both of them. I'll go through a thing I like to call runtime debugging techniques. This is just an overview of ways to debug your code without resorting to a debugger. So this includes console logging, visual debugging, and an overview of the in-game console. Now, this is just techniques you can use to diagnose problems and bugs in your code while the game is running. If you have experience in other game engines and stuff, you'll probably already be familiar with a lot of these techniques, but I'm just including them anyway. I'll be outlining traces and how to use them. So this is an outline of how to perform raycasting in UDK. So this just includes the theory behind raycasting and also explore several of the key functions that you can use for tracing, how they work, and how to use them. I'll be doing an overview of actor searching. So this is just ways to search the scene. These are the main functions that you would use in doing this, and also the pros and cons of each function. Another thing I'll be doing is going over components in Unreal. So this is how you would use components in Unreal Script and how they interact together. So this includes theory behind component design and why it's designed the way it is, and how to use components in code. I'll also be giving an overview of using controllers and pawns, so why they're important to Unreal, the controller and pawn relationship, and how to use them in code. And we'll be doing a non-trivial example on how they work. And lastly, we'll be doing an overview of user input in Unreal. So this is the theory behind the implementation of them, and also how to use the input system. So this will include how to code a function that's ready for user input, and also how to link it up to fire an input command.